Right, and hi guys, I ain't done a video in a while, so I thought I'd do a quick upload today on a bait I've just rolled. And I also wanted to just let anyone that's new to bait into a thing that I've not been doing for long. I always had, now semolina has always played a part in every bait I've rolled. Semolina or soya flour have always played a part in every bait I've ever rolled. And when I first started rolling bait, I started with a mix of semolina and maize meal. Fine, they had to be fine. You didn't want them coarse. And I used them at a ratio of 50-50. So then just mixed them both together in a bag. You get 1.5 kilo bags you get. So I mixed them together in a bucket, which gives you 3 kilo. Mixed it together and made sure it were all nicely mixed. And then as far as you want really, then that's it. Then it's just flavours you could add to it. But I've come a long way since then. But take my word for it, that bait is absolutely those baits. What I was rolling back then with the mix of the just 50-50 semolina and maize flour, they resulted in the big common from her. Rother Valley. They resulted in every fish I had out of Rother Valley. It was just a mix of semolina, soya flour, a little bit of semolina, and it was just really mainline flavours. 2 mil per egg, and then if I used say 20 mil of flavour, if I were doing a big mixed, then it's always half of the sweet aid, the intense sweetener. So if you're using 20 mil of flavour, then 10 mil of sweet aid to it. That resulted in the big common. Like I said, the leather. Every fish I've ever had out of Rother Valley, and I'll have a lot more fish as well. So I'm very, very good. It's a fish I've had on that. So the fish definitely like it. There's no doubt of that. But what I've noticed since I've been rolling bait now, which has been for a good length of time now, probably over about 12, 13 years, probably longer, is that the semolina and soya flour, when the bait comes out, you can put a 16 mil nozzle on your gun, or even if you're using one of the Gardener sausage rollers that you roll backwards and forwards and it gives you a sausage. What you will find is, same with the gun, is if you put a 16 mil nozzle on and you squirt a sausage out 16 mil nozzle, the semolina and the soya flour that's in that, or just one of them, the semolina on its own or the soya on its own, what it will do is it will make that 16mm bait expand by at least 2 mil, which it doesn't sound a lot that, but believe me, it makes a massive difference when you're rolling, because your baits start to get odd shaped and they start to split, you start to get cracks in them, and it just ends up a mess. So what I've been doing over these last for a while now, for a good while, is I've done away with semolina and I've also done away with soya flour, and I've replaced it with a very good quality fish meal. Now, it's the problems that I've come across with it is that the fish meal overshadows every other flavour that you put in it. But on a plus side, the fish absolutely love it, and I mean love it. I've never had responses to. I mean, all I've really been doing this winter is I've only done 2 sessions, and in them 2 sessions, I had a couple of bream on the first session, and the second session I had a ghost carp. But it's I've been baiting heavily a peg that I ain't been fishing, but I know that they liked to be in that area. I went down and I saw what there was one fish in this area, and it was just sat there with the gills going, and it was sat on a marginal shelf. So I left it be, and as it drifted, it didn't drift out, it kind of dropped back. As it dropped back, I put some crumb in that edge. Now, when I went back down, there were 6 fish in that area. So I've continued to bait that area, and I continued to bait that area for a good while. But then at one point I heard a car pull up behind me, and it sounded like they were coming into that peg. So I had to spook the fish out of that area, which I weren't happy about, but there was nothing else I could do. It's I know what they would have crashed the lead straight on its head, and they probably would have never been seen again, them carp. Now, luckily, I don't think it was fished, or if it was fished, they fished it in a way that they were casting across out of the way, and they probably had the lines going straight over those fish. So it worked in my favour. So what I thought about is after that is I thought about I need to get them away from the margin and get them to drop down that shelf, and it ain't been easy. I will be honest with you. They really do like that marginal shelf. I think it's they come up there to get a little bit of sun, and then they drop back down as temperatures drop. So what I did is I baited along that marginal slope where they was, and honestly it's been like a dog on a lead. As I've been going on, I've pulled them all the way up to where I want them, but now I've started to bait away from the margin down the marginal shelf. And when I say marginal shelf, Treaton is not a deep place at all. In fact, if you ask me, it's a puddle. It's a big pit, but it's a puddle. It's not, there's no depth to it whatsoever. I like a little bit of depth, 12 foot and stuff like that. It's the reason I haven't done much this winter on there. It's you're gonna catch them newly introduced fish, them newly introduced stock fish. You're gonna catch them because they're hungry. They don't know where natural food is, and they're gonna be up for the feed. They've been put in somewhere that is alien to them, that they don't know where anything is. So you're gonna catch them, but they're not my cup of tea. I'm not into catching little stockies like that, especially when they'll already be stressed from stockies, from being introduced. It's a stress factor with them as well, catching them, you know what I mean? Just leave them be for a bit, let them find natural thing, and also let them also become part of a small shoal, which I've noticed on Treaton, there's not one big shoal, there's small groups of fish. And I've noticed that now through this winter of watching them from up trees and other places where I've watched them. They're all in small groups of fish with probably a maximum of 6 fish in each one, maybe 7 or 8. And it's the reason why sometimes I had 4 fish and it went boom, dead for that day. And now I know why, because they're more than likely just a small group of fish. So what the back onto the semolina bit now, we drifted away from that, yeah, is I've replaced it with a really, really high quality fish meal. Now I'm not gonna pass that cost on to you. It's not what I do. It's the people buying bait off me, the mates now, and I'm only doing it for a few anyway. Now, so I'm not gonna pass that cost on to you, because on a positive factor, it's easier for me to roll. It rolls really nice now. I mean, I've just done 1.5 kilo in probably about 20 minutes, and that's from doing the paste and everything and rolling it, everything, cleaning up in about 25-30 minutes. So it's really, really a lot easier. It's with the sausage gun. It's a 16mm, stays a 16mm. It's not expanding, and when you get that expansion of it, you if you know about bait and you roll bait, you'll know what I mean. It is a pain in the arse. You end up rolling baits and they're not round, and then you just start to get that like an hole that goes through them. It's where it's not quite. It's because the bait's expanded and you're using it on a 16mm table. It's an 18mm. Really, it's an 18mm bait because it's expanded by 2mm. So as you're rolling it, it's causing an hole through the middle. But by taking that semolina and soy flour out of it, you're getting that with every single bait. Now that is a bait I did really well on last year. It's a bait called Bloody Pineapple. Now I've upped the bloodworm in it by a fair bit, and it's that I think that the fish are really onto, and I'm telling you, they were flanking on it. When they're doing that, I always know that it's a good great sign. When I see fish come in, and they come into the swim, and then they flank on it and off, and it's as though they come up to the surface and then they'll come back down. I think it's some way that it's a kind of this is just my theory on it. I think it's some kind of communication thing that they're doing with each other. Just from watching them, I think it's their way of communicating with each other, and they flank. They'll come in and they'll actually flank on the bait, and then they'll come up in the water column, and then others will do it as well. It's a strange thing, but I've really, really enjoyed watching them. I still God I have. And a lot of you may be thinking, how come you haven't fished for them? Because Up to about 2 days ago, I'd caught all them fish. There were 6 fish, and I'd caught them all, apart from about 2 of them, and they weren't very big. Now I went yarn yesterday, and there were 2 fish there. Well, there were 6, but 2 of them were good sizes, and fish I ain't had before. They were mid-20s. I'd say 22, 23 pound, and they were one underneath, just slightly lower than one of the others, and I couldn't get a full look at it from the angle I was at. Now I managed to snap at that, and I've sent it to lads and all, and I've sent it to them, show them. So it's one of them sent, the one underneath the mirror sent bigger. So things are looking good for this season on there. I'm telling you now, it's definitely got my interest back in the place anyway, I tell you that now. But I've called it dog on a lead because I've moved them 30 yards. It was down in a snag swim, and I've slowly baited. It's took me probably 4 or 5, probably longer, 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks to move them up gradually. Little bits of bait, and then big bait, and then little bits of bait, and then big bait over the course of 5 or 6 weeks. And it's pulled them up to that area. Now I've started now just with 3 or 4 baits in the shallow, where the shallow is, 3 or 4 baits, all baits, and then the marginal drop off, I'm baiting that totally different with crumb and flake down that marginal shelf. And I've seen all I can see now is the tails waving. Great sign, guys. Honestly, God, when you see that, you know it's a good sign. So it's definitely it's really got my interest in fish meals, and I'm a big fish meal user. By the wise, I've always been a fruit bait, like tutti frutti, pineapple, the old school baits I still use. I love them. I love tutti frutti. Tutti frutti takes some beating. It's a great bait. Pineapple takes some beating. Now this bait that I've got in my hand now here is a bait I said earlier, and it's called Bloody Pineapple. Now I've had this about, it's been part of my fishing on treating since very, very early days of treating. Around about 3 or 4 weeks into treating, I started to know that it was a really good pit for bloodworm, because I was bringing them in and a point of the hook. So straight away I've added pineapple. I was catching on pineapple, so it made sense to still keep pineapple in that mix. So, but all I did is I added more bloodworm than I've ever added before to any bait. I've added bloodworm in 2 forms, in the natural form from CC Mo, which is expensive, but if it catches fish, it catches fish. You know what I mean? It's and the other thing is, I've also added it in bloodworm from another company that I get it off. Now the bloodworm, I'm convinced that it's the combination of the 2 bloodworms, the liquid bloodworm and the whole bloodworm, the bloodworm in the natural form. I'm convinced that it's that they're after. But these ones are the ones that I've just done with the new base mix, and it's like I said, it's anchovy and I think it's anchovy and sardine, or I'll have to look at that. I should have known that before I did this blog. Really, I think it's anchovy and sardine. Now those flavours kind of overpower, and don't forget it's got a Belacan and all sorts in this. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff going on in it, so it's it is hard to get the smell of pineapple to punch through those fish meal smells. Sardine, you've got sardine, Belacan, you've got krill, you've got bloodworm, you've got all kinds of attraction going on in this one bait, and it's this bait that's done the business. It's this bait that's pulled them. And it's this bait I will be using this year. I was going to go with Coco. I will be honest, all this started with Coco Corn Cream. I was baiting with that. Now I've still been using that, but what threw me away from that was it's yellow. It's got a yellow food dye in it, and it stood out like a sore thumb on pit bottom. And it wasn't the birds that I was bothered about. It was more that with it being bright yellow, I thought it's gonna. If anyone comes in, they're gonna see bright yellow on bottom of the pit, and they're gonna put a bait on it definitely, and it's that what pulled me about it. And even I went to the even extreme of when the fish drifted out of the area where the bait was. When I heard the car coming, and it sounded like it were coming towards me, I put a stick into the bit where I'd baited and scuffed the bait, and it covered it with silt. So I've done a lot of stuff down there through winter. I've done a hell of a lot of stuff down there. A lot of people may not think I've been fishing, but believe me, I've been watching them, and I've learnt more than fishing for them could ever do for me. I've learnt a hell of a lot of things, and it's definitely got me onto fish meals. I'm telling you now, they love fish meals. Now, you've got to fish with a bait as well that the ingredients are consistent. It is no good having enough of an ingredient to last you for 20 kilo bait, and then after that 20 kilos gone, you can't get an ingredient. That ingredient again, it's got to be something that it's consistent. The bait's got to be consistently the same. So this bait now, it's not getting changed just through the reaction that I've had from it. Now that's it. And I've also now I've done away with full colourings. I mean, I can add full colourings to these if I wanted to, but to be perfectly honest with you, I've done away with full colourings. I think nothing of fishing a bright yellow pop up over the top of that. Don't get me wrong, or a white pop up over the top of it, but it don't make a difference to me. It's just a sight factor. When they come in and they see that bright yellow pop up, it's a lot of people say that's the last bait to go. Your up bait, it's rubbish. It's as far as I'm concerned. With the baits that I use, my up bait is the first bait to go, and I watch them a lot from trees, and I watch them from pegs. I always fish margins. Now that enables me to watch fish. And I'll tell you now also that whoever said that they're using a shitty bait, because the first bait to go is the up bait, and it's because it's cherry on the pie effect. It's using a bright bait over a duller bait, or even when I use it, the original bloody pineapple was yellow, and then I coated it in a red coating, bloodworm coating. Now that was the only bloodworm in that bait, was the coating. It was a powdered bloodworm, and I coated the baits, and that's what I did well on over a year. I still got the coating, and I've just been thinking about coating these. I will be honest with you, I may even do that, but at the minute I'm happy with the way they are. Now they don't smell pineapple. There's a hint of it there, but not much. It's more pungent fish. But if you were to taste one, you taste the pineapple. Now that's what I want. I want an eye attraction of fish meal, because to me, pellet's a natural food source to fish. It's as natural as anything. It's as natural. In every pond in this country and all over the world now, near enough, pellet is as natural to the fish as what bloodworm is. It's because they've been fed it from birth, and they've been fed it from when they're really small to up until they're stocked to ponds. They're all fed on pellet, so they see it as a natural food source. Now it's to me, it made sense to have a pellet in it as well. So there's pellet in it as well, and now it's the pellet, the ground pellet that you're getting. And also the newer fish meal powder that I've just got. I've just got onto a company, and they're being really good with me. So it's like I said, I'm not going to pass that costing game passed on to the few that I'm doing baits too. So it's not going to affect you. Well, it is. Your catch rate's going to be better, 100% on that as well. Now this is a bait that I will be using. It's a really, really nice bait. There's so much going on in it, it's unbelievable. It's the flakes you can see there is bloodworm, and the other stuff that's going on in these just unbelievable. The amount of full value in these is just incredible, guys. Honestly, it's a softish bait. It's a really nice soft bait. It ain't too hard. It's a nice bait, and it really crumbs nice. You know what I mean? It crumbs to a nice crumb, and it's very flaky, but it's full of absolute like all sorts. You know what I mean? There's krill in there. There's like I said, there's bloodworm, there's bellacam, there's all sorts. There's absolutely all sorts going on. And you know that I broke that bait up, and it absolutely stinks. So it's only going to take really one fish to break that open, and it's the attraction here is unbelievable. Now the reason that I ain't been fishing for these fish is one reason, and that is I would much rather them get used of a bait that has got no. They're not going to see. I think carp see all round baits as a possible danger. It's because at some point they will have been caught on it. Now it's on some places, nature reserves and what have you. Then I would actually say that it would be beneficial not to have them round. It just fish crumb, and I will be honest, that is mainly it's that what I'm feeding. And they absolutely love the stuff. Honestly, it's unbelievable. They absolutely love it. Now, there's two forms of krill in there as well. There's a powdered krill, and there's also a liquid krill. Now, the liquid krill is absolutely it's like a slurry. It's a really nice mix. Now it's the same with the bloodworm. It's like I said earlier, and it's CC Moser bloodworm in all form, and then it's CC Mo's powdered. Not CC Mo's. It's I forgot the name of them now. It's another company's bloodworm in liquid form, and it's by far the best bit I think I've used, to be perfectly honest with you, for pulling power, and just what I've seen over the last few weeks. So that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll chat you later.